Welcome. Come with me, meet new people, and share their experiences on this episode of Our Culture to the World. My guest today is Marcus Branche. And Marcus, I'm so happy to finally meet you. Please introduce yourself
Mm.
to our guests.
Hi, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. My name, actually, my legal name is Mark Branch, but typically, Caribbean folks, they always change our names, what they prefer. So everyone knows me as Marcus Branch or Marcus B. So that's my name, and I am Guyanese born. Was born in Campbellville, um, in Georgetown, and I immigrated to the United States in 1978
Mhm.
and now residing in California.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Marcus, tell me what do you do? What in terms of your work and um hobbies and so on. If you'd like to
Right.
share that.
Of course. So in the days I work at the university, UCLA,
Mhm.
in the nights, which is or not necessary night, but pretty much at any time after my regular 9 to 5,
Right.
I
Your
am
off time.
my off time. I do a lots and lots and lots and lots of Caribbean entertainment. That's where people really knows me and know my brand. The Marcus B brand is
Mhm.
very, very big in the Caribbean community with entertainment, various types of entertainment. We could go into that,
Oh,
as we,
yes, of course, of
progress.
course.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're gonna talk about. Yes,
Yes.
Marcus, you said you were pretty young. I know you mentioned that to me when you moved to the US and you initially moved to New York. Is that correct? Right.
So, so I came to New York. I was 12 years old. Um, I did not want to leave Guyana. I did, my mom immigrated in the 60s. She has 7 kids. And five of my siblings, they came ahead of us. They came like mid 70s, like 74, 75. And myself and one other sibling stayed back with my dad. And when our turn came, I did not want to leave my dad. He never wanted to come to the US. He's one of those Guyanese guys. Nah, I don't want to go to America. And I did not want to leave. I cried like a baby. They couldn't.
Mhm.
They had to drag me on the plane.
Wow.
I never forget that moment. It's very heartbreaking. Got on the plane, came to America, and I just, my plan was always, I'm not staying here. I'm going back to Guyana. I don't like this place. You're a little kid. So all
Yeah.
your friends, is back home. There was a tough adjustment initially,
Yes.
of course. And, but, like most of us, as time goes on, we adjust,
Mhm.
I went to middle school, or back then we call it junior high school.
Right.
And it was a little different. I was a smart kid then, I think, because I think our education system in the Caribbean is so much more advanced. So
Right.
when I got to, it was like seventh grade or whatever it was, I was just an A student, because
Mhm.
I'd already learned all this stuff in Guyana. So I made a lot of friends that way.
Okay.
Oh, you want to hang out with this guy, even though he has a funny accent.
Mhm. How was that? How was that for you with the accent? They're always, oh, you have an accent.
Right.
I mean,
But
but I mean, it was in Brooklyn, and that's a lot
Brooklyn.
of Caribbean people. But how was it for you, though?
Yeah, but back in the 70s, I think it's when, a lot of people started to immigrate. Caribbean
Mhm.
folks, we know people been immigrating, from the 50s, 60s, all through. But I think the 70s was when a lot of people started to immigrate
Mhm.
to the United States. And it was, in middle school, I didn't really find a lot of Caribbean folks, or maybe they were there, but their accents had changed. But
Mhm.
then when I got to high school, for some reason it just changed. It seemed like everybody was from somewhere else, from Trinidad or Jamaica or
Mhm.
one of the other islands. So I really found my culture back then in high school, and from then it was just everything Caribbean. I remember even in junior high school, I think that's when I lost my Guyanese. Because people say, you've been here all these years, 40 some years, you still got an accent. When I was in junior high school, I totally lost it as a kid. And then I got to high school and I started hanging around more Caribbean folks, and accent is there,
And you
I love
reasserted your Guyanese.
Yes, yes, I love it. You love it. And everybody likes it, When
Mhm.
people, oh, you have a beautiful accent. Where are you from? I'm like, okay, this works. So, yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
you found as a youth, you were saying, at first it was a little difficult
right,
trying to adjust and integrate. And
right.
then, high school kind of helped you to
Yes.
find yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
I met quite a few Guyanese and other folks in the islands, and that was pretty, yeah. It
yeah,
made the adjustment a little easier. Yeah.
great,
Few
great.
friends, it made it, yeah, yeah. The adjustment was,
Mm. Well, were there any other ways in which you were able to retain your Caribbean or Guyanese identity or even Caribbeanness
right.
in the U.S.? Not just in New York, but we're gonna talk more in more detail about moving later on. Yeah, but
Right,
how were you able to in apart from keeping your accent for the
right,
most part,
right.
retain your Guyanese identity?
Right. I think one of the biggest thing for me, and it's what has propelled my whole entertainment career. I have my own company called Marcus B Entertainment, is music.
Mhm.
And I think that's what kept me close to the Caribbean and to my culture. I just love music, reggae and soca and calypso and all the different genre of Caribbean music growing up. And as I grew older, my whole base of music just until I love African music. I'm a huge lover of music from Africa. Um, so I think music, to answer your question, music is what kept me close to my culture. Kept me embracing that culture. Everything came out. I started out just listening, and then I started out as a DJ. I like
Yeah.
this music so much, as a little kid, you got your little turntables, and the minute I get home, I go in my mom's in the basement. We had our own home in Brooklyn, and I'm just playing music, and that was my hobby. And before you know it, I was having parties in the basement.
Okay.
So that's what got me started. My mom would be up on the top floor of me and all my friends in the basement having a party. So it's, yeah. But
Yes.
music definitely kept me close to my Caribbean culture.
That is so good, because I know like when I go to visit family in Brooklyn, and you actually have Caribbean radio stations and you feel like home. I mean, where I
Yes.
am in South Carolina, you don't hear that kind of thing unless
Oh
you
no,
go
it's
look
not
for it,
in
you
South.
play it yourself or you go look for it on YouTube or something.
Like, or you might get 1 hour on the radio here somewhere. Cause that actually happens to us in California when I first moved out here. Nothing Caribbean music wise. And I'll get into that a little later. That's what made me really blow up out here in California. But what we would get, and maybe you guys get it in South Carolina, you get a radio station that might play 1 hour reggae, or 1 hour of this, and then that's it.
Yeah, I don't even
Maybe,
hear
but
that.
you don't even get that. It's coming because our culture is growing. It's a strong culture, and everyone is adopting it and loving it. So it's
Mm.
out there somewhere. I'll find it for you.
Okay,
I
all
bet
right.
there's somewhere in South Carolina that plays Caribbean music.
All right.
So
Well, yeah, you tell me when you do. Yeah.
I, yeah,
So you told me you started your DJing with the Caribbean music in New York, and
right,
just let's talk some more about that. How did that take off in New York, and then now you're in California?
right.
How have you continued with that?
Okay. So in New York, again, it was a hobby. We play music. Everybody I don't know, I'm a people person. So I always had a lot of friends. So everybody will come over to our house and we have parties, play music. And in the mid 80s, in 1983, I came to California to visit my brother and a brother that was staying in California. And I instantly fell in love with the place. I'm like, wow, there is no 4 seasons. There's only one season, and it's the sunny season. It's just the weather was just the selling point. The people to me seemed more, they were very nice and friendly and courteous. And but the one thing that was missing was not that many Caribbean folks. And you could not find Caribbean people out here in California. They were very spread out at that time. So I came out in '83. I do have a daughter. My daughter's mother was pregnant at the time when I came out. And I stayed for about 5 months. And then when my daughter was due, I said, okay, I'm coming back. Went back. My daughter was born. And I stayed in New York until '85. And I said, you know what? I'm going back to California. So I told my daughter and her mom, let's go. Let's just go to California. At that time, she did not want to move to California. She was still hesitant. So I'm going back to California. I cannot stay in New York. I came back to California. They stayed in New York, but we always stayed in touch. Um, and I came back in '85 to California permanently, and I packed up all my records and we drove. Me and another sibling, we drove to California. When I came to California and I started playing music at my house, um, I started gaining friends again. And I think what really, because our music, our culture is that strong out here, it really attracted a lot of people. And I think one of the biggest places, my brother was attending college at one of the Los Angeles City College. And he was a member of the Black Student Union. And they had a party. And they said, hey, my brother could bring some nice, Afro music, Caribbean music, American music, mix it up. I came on the campus and I played for them and they loved it. And I became like the campus DJ.
Okay.
You would think I wasn't even going to that college, but you would think I was there because I was always there DJing. So I really introduced a lot of people to, the Caribbean music, that way got started from the colleges. People heard me, they started hiring me to DJ at concerts, nightclub. So the DJ thing really, really took off and it really made my name. That's what really made Marcus be name. And I gotta give credit to another good friend of mine that I grew up with in New York, Gary Benjamin, very dear friend. We both were kids growing up in New York together. He came out to California once he knew I was out here, and he is an absolutely amazing DJ. And so together we formed what was called GT, Georgetown International. And we just took Los Angeles from
Wow.
with DJing. We traveled everywhere and nightclubs and shows, and so that's what really got me started with entertainment.
Right. And
propelled into a lot of different things. Yeah.
Wow. And I was going to ask you, well, how was it received? But I don't even have to ask you that because from how you described it, it's obvious that it was well received. And yes, and people just were drawn to the Caribbean music and your DJing.
Yes.
Right. Beautiful. But I know you told me it started as a hobby.
Right.
And you being a people person and so on. Yeah, I was just wondering too, how were there any other motivations apart from just okay, I mean I like this and people like it as well. Were there any other motivations for you with the entertainment, to be in the entertainment industry?
Right. Well, money is always a motivation. So as we continued to play, people became very in demand, and people started offering us money. Like, I'm like, doing this for fun, guys. I don't need money because when I started to play at the colleges, I didn't get anything, man. Just, I'm doing this for fun. But of course, people started paying us to come and DJ, and it wasn't no big thing, but it was just, oh wow. So that it's from a hobby, it became a business. We started doing, and what we did after a while, we started playing at nightclubs, and we started to do our own nightclubs, and that was a big deal. That really changed the game. So we got our own nightclubs, and we would just, we ran everything. So before we were just the DJ, so we got paid to DJ.
Right.
Now we're running the clubs, I mean, people are following us. We're the one that's bringing in entertainment. So, and that was huge because that's when it became very, financially became very successful. And that actually led me to another part of my entertainment, which was producing a lot of bringing a lot of Caribbean entertainment,
Okay.
singers, musicians, and concerts. So we, because we have a nightclub, we brought a lot of different musicians to perform. I mean, we had some of the biggest names in Caribbean entertainment. You know, I was part of the team that brought Byron Lee. Pretty much
Okay.
everyone Byron Lee and the Dragonaires.
Mhm.
For the younger folks, they probably know Buju Banton, who's,
Mhm.
pretty good, for the young Mr. Vegas, Beanie Man, um, Dobby Dobson, who Guyanese just love Dobby Dobson.
Yes.
He is a humble, humble, humble gentleman. Um, may his soul rest in peace. He did several shows to me. So we started bringing all these different artists. Our brand, you know, kept growing. So we had our own clubs. We bring in entertainers. So that was very, very, very successful, and it really made my name and the brand.
Yes. Well, listen, let me tell you, we have a mutual friend,
Okay.
and um, she's told me that you are like the glue. You're the glue that holds the Caribbean community in the Los Angeles area together. So tell me
Okay.
about that, how your importance
Right.
in the Caribbean community in the
Right.
Los Angeles area.
Well, that's the one thing I'm so proud of with myself and my career is the fact that even though I'm Guyanese, I love my Caribbean people, my Caribbean culture. So when I do all my entertainment, it's always like, for example, my comedy shows called Caribbean Comedy Series. If I do my boat rides, I call the ultimate Caribbean boat ride. It's always that Caribbeanness in it. And maybe because I came so young to America, I just embrace. So I have so many. My wife is actually Jamaican,
Okay.
so I got a lot of Jamaicans friends, and because a lot of entertainers from the Caribbean are Jamaicans, I became a friends with a lot of the entertainers because they came and they worked for me. So we ended up having a lot of friends in Jamaica. I have a lot of Trini friends, a lot of in California, lots of Belizeans. I never knew any Belizeans growing up in New York, and I get to California, and every other Caribbean
Yes.
person is Belizean.
Mhm.
So being out there in the market with entertainment, and it is the best way to be successful. You just can't get I'm Guyanese. I'm just gonna throw a Guyanese dance, or
Right.
and I see some of my friends made that mistake, because they're Jamaican or Belizean or wherever. They only cater for their little people.
Mhm.
And I'm like, nah, man, I'm bringing this Caribbean culture together. So last night, I just had a very big party last night called Caribbean Spring Jam.
Okay.
And the entire Caribbean diaspora was there, from the smallest islands, St. Lucia, Antigua, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, to all the bigger islands, the Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados and Panamanians was there, Haitians was there. And
Mhm.
of course, Guyanese was there. So it really makes me proud when I could bring the Caribbean, diaspora together. It's one of the highlights of my production, you know.
Right.
So I think that's what that mutual friend meant, when she
Yeah.
said, and I think that's why people like to come, because they know they can meet people from everywhere. It's not only going to be Chinese or only, this and
But and that's another thing that I heard. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. That it's not just like you don't play just when you play your music and you have your entertainment. It's not just for maybe one group.
right.
Maybe we could talk something about the demographics, not just in
Yeah.
terms of age and nationality, but ethnicity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
how are your audiences? How diverse are the audiences?
Well, when I came in the 80s and 90s, when I was in my 20s and 30s, it was a younger crowd, a nightclub crowd, younger crowd, 21 and over. So you have 21 and 30 somethings and 40 somethings, and the people who are 50 trying to still be young, hanging out. So you have a few of those. So in the early part of my career, obviously the crowd was younger. I've grown older. I'm going to be 58 this year. The crowd is, I still have those people that I grew up with, you know. So My crowd now is very diverse in terms of age, in terms of nationality. We will find people, like, for example, last night we had people in their 20s all the way back to their 60s in the party last night.
Mm-hmm.
And we played everything, music from in the 90s to the 2000s to today, you know, and everyone, but it's a very, even the younger people are what we call that young, mature crowd, a young professional crowd.
Right.
You know, not because they're young, they want to be all wild and crazy. They want to be around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So so it was it's in terms of that, the crowd is very, very, you know, the age range is this way. Even the racial breakdown in terms, we had people from we had some Mexicans last night. We had some folks that are Caucasian folks. I was there last night. We probably had every race there last night. So it was a very great. That's how my crowd has grown in terms, because you know we try to reach different people, and I think people like that. People want to see that, you know,
Yes,
togetherness,
yes, of course.
especially in these times. You know, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned some of the artists, the big artists you brought. So maybe if you could talk a little bit more, tell us a little bit more about some of the events, some other artists, and
Mm.
maybe the impact of the promotion in that you've had on the community. Some of the impact of the promotions.
Right. Well, you know, when we talked about my DJ, we talked about some of the artists that I brought, which, you know, various concerts that we produced. But what I've realized to keep myself relevant, you have to keep evolving. Because I've known almost all the promoters I know back in the days when I was in the 90s, none of them are really doing anything anymore. And even someone told me the other day, they said, Marcus, you know what? You're the only guy from back in the days. Back in the days was the 90s. So that is still doing stuff. I'm doing it successfully, you know? So what I attribute that to is the fact that I keep evolving my promotions and my productions. For example, after we finished with the nightclubs, you know, and then I got burnt up with the concerts. You know, doing concerts, it's a lot of work. So I was visiting Jamaica, and I saw a play with Oliver Samuels. It was hilarious. I love comedy. I love to laugh, and I tell everybody, if you guys are listening, laugh. Laugh is the best medicine. It eases that stress. Find something to laugh at, you know. Um, and I said, you know what? I would love to bring these guys to California, you know, bring this play to California. So we talked about it, and they came, and I brought Oliver Samuels, who's probably the most famous Caribbean comedian that everyone knows, and his production to Los Angeles, and they did several plays to me over the years, you know. So that was absolutely great. So I evolved from I went from the DJing to the concerts, and I'm like, let me do it. This is so much fun. People came out, they laughed, and they had a great time, and huge audience. And then after I said, okay, I keep going. I see that's going where I said, I want to do stand-up comedy because I realized there was one guy in the play that was hilarious. He was so funny. I said, Chris, you're very funny. You should come and do. And he was more than happy. He said, yes, I've been doing this stuff in Jamaica. So that's the other thing. So I keep evolving with my production, the things I do. So I started to do stand-up comedy. My first show was with a couple of guys from Jamaica, Blocker Ellis, Chris Daly, and Donald Anderson. And I had a good friend of mine, Chris Spencer. He's here. He's American with Jamaican parents, and he hosted the show. And I'll tell you a little bit about Chris in a minute. But that show was absolutely amazing. People came, sit down, and they laughed. And I realized this is such an easy production. All I needed is a stage and a mic. I got hundreds of people showed up. Easy, simple production. Financially, it was a great success. I'm like, I'm gonna be doing stand-up comedy for a long time to come. I've been doing it for the past, but 15 years now.
Okay.
And it has really, really grown. And let me get back to Chris before I think. Chris Spencer is one of the premier writers in Hollywood. He writes for some of the top name comedians. You can name them. He writes to Bill Bellamy. He writes to Anthony Anderson. He writes Kevin Hart. Um, and he produces quite a few shows. What's it, Real Husbands of Hollywood, or one of those? Yeah. But Chris, we became very, very good friends, and he continues to host shows to me even today. And he did the first show like 15 years ago, and through Chris, I met tons and tons of celebrities, you name them, So we get hang out and with some of those guys, but. Chris has been a very, very big part of me starting my comedy, and I give him a lot of respect and a lot of credit for that. And the comedy thing has just exploded. Los Angeles cannot wait for the Caribbean comedy series.
Okay.
It is the biggest show. And ever since then, my family, because I grew up in New York and all of the family still in New York, something about New Yorkers, they don't like to leave New York. It's very challenging for them. They do not like to move from New York. So my mom and all my siblings are pretty much still there. I do have one sibling here, and they said, you got to do this in New York. So we branched out. We started doing the comedy shows in New York. Tremendous success. We actually going to do it next month. In April 23rd, we're going to be doing Atlanta.
Okay.
So the show, we actually did Florida before. So and COVID really slowed us up.
Yes.
We were just going full speed, and different states was booking us and said, hey, we want to. And then COVID came, we slowed down. But now we're kind of gearing up back consciously because we don't know what might happen in the future, But, it's been a little challenging with COVID because we had to cancel shows, and we already invested in XYZ, and, you had to cancel shows. It's been very challenging with COVID. But the comedy show, it's my bread and butter right now. It's a great production. It's called the Caribbean Comedy Series, and it might be coming to a city near you.
Well, Atlanta is the closest one, just 2 hours away. So,
but you or any of your audience that is going to be viewing this, it's probably going to be coming. If you want us to bring the show, just give me a call. We love to work some out and bring the Caribbean Comedy Series to your city. It's a great show. It's a simple production, but it's laughter, and it's nice, clean, fun Caribbean comedy. And
yeah, based on what I was going to ask you about the impact of COVID. You told me you had to cancel. Were you able to do anything virtually during the time?
Not comedy. I found it challenging to do that, and quite a few of the comedians too. We talked about it. A lot of people reached out to me about it. How about a virtual show? But I didn't do it because I just felt that audience need to be there.
Yeah, you want to have the immediate feedback.
Right. Some comedians did it, and I watched a few shows, and I just was it was okay. But we
didn't feel the chemistry.
So we took a break. It was a nice break. You're going to spend a lot more time with the family because, we were always busy with these shows, and, it was a nice break. But in the meanwhile, we did some stuff virtually. We did some of the DJ stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of that.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff DJing wise. We had the first year of COVID, we had a New Year's Eve party that was virtual. It was great. It was great success. We had hundreds of people that tuned in and watched it, and it was really fun.
Because I know I've been to some of the virtual DJing parties and so on. People just you listen to music, you dance in your own home, and
exactly.
Or you watch other people dance.
Exactly. Yes. But it was great. And you know what? To mention, our show right now, we have so many celebrities that actually in Los Angeles shows that because they're right. We got. This is Hollywood. So a lot of them actually come out, celebrities and watch your shows.
Right.
It's fun to see. Yeah.
Yes, I want to follow up on something you said before, because with comedy, sometimes our Caribbean way of the things we laugh at, some people might not find funny. So how does that go?
I know
How
exactly where
does
you're
that
going.
go across with these audiences who are non-Caribbean?
I know exactly where you're going with that question. So here, comedy is very. I tell people, first of all, accept it as comedy. Somebody's just being funny. They don't mean to be offensive, you know. So some I'll answer two part of the question. How it comes over with other cultures.
Mhm.
We actually have a lot of Americans that come to the Caribbean comedy series, and even white Americans, and they love it. You know, so some of the guys them there's quite a few American comedians that actually is on the show too. They will come in and do a short set, like they'll be on there for like 10 minutes. But the headliner, who's from the Caribbean, will do the bulk of the time, maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, you know. And the shows roughly run for about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours. So they will obviously get the American part of the jokes, you know, and then when the Caribbean guys come, they'll get some of it and they won't get some of it. You know, some of it might go over their head because they can't
Mhm.
relate, you know. But just being there and watching everybody just laughing and getting the joke, I think they enjoy that. So, and some of our Caribbean comedians, their accent is not that strong. Some of them are very strong. And it's like, even me have to like, huh, what did he say? You know, so, and then, you know, especially some of the Jamaican comedians, man, when they go into that deep patois, you know, it's like, huh? I have to turn to my wife and say, what did he say? You know, so, but yeah, but and then some of the guys, their accent is not that strong because they've probably been living abroad for a while, and you know, so it goes over well. And then the second part, kind of to what I wanted to mention about how certain things are received is some people get offended
Mhm.
because of a joke, you know. And I tell people it's just comedy, you know. Like for example, if we're talking about, let's say, and you see it in the news all the time, people are getting you know, canceled for being what they call
Cancel
cancel
culture.
culture,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know, because of a joke they said about, you know, a group of people or
20
something.
years ago or
So
something. Mhm.
right, some of it could be and I think you got to really scrutinize how that joke was really. Some people are just joking, you know. It was a joke. Like I had one guy, this Trinidadian comedian. He came, he did a show for me, and it went something like this. Oh my gosh! And somebody got so offended. The Guyanese people got offended. So the
Mhm.
joke was, he said, and when you see a tall person back home, right? What we call them? We call them tall boy, right?
No,
For the
mhm.
nickname, right?
Right,
When you
right.
see somebody that's a little fat, you call them fat boy. You
Mhm.
know, and you see somebody too dark, you call them blacker. You know,
Right, yeah.
and he said
Everybody got a false name, as
everybody
we
got a
say in
false name,
Guyana.
right?
Yes.
Right. And then he said, you see going down the line, and if you see that, and he said, if you first see somebody that's dumb, what you call them? Everybody said dumb. He said, no, Guyanese.
Ooh.
and, and the,
Why
the
did you say
Guyanese
that?
people, the crowd laughed, the crowd went crazy, boy. But there was one Guyanese guy that didn't think it was so funny.
Mhm.
He went up there and he started telling the comedian, he don't, he's stupid. It's a joke. But I know the comedian, but he know him and but he does this with anywhere he goes. If he have a big Jamaican audience,
He would say that.
he was a
Yeah.
Jamaican. And
Mhm.
he got a big, you know, whatever audience. He tried to mess with that group of people, you know. So in terms of how some people would react very hostile to a
Mhm.
joke. It's a
Right,
joke.
right,
He's just
right.
kidding. He's obviously don't think that. He said he knows there's a guy and he's paying his bills. He's not gonna cover it. Okay. So, but yeah, but you run into things like that with comedy, you know. But for the most part, the comedy shows are well received. People love it. You know, people just like to have a good time. There's so much trouble in the world, like Bob Marley said in one of his songs, that sometimes people just want a release to just come
Yes.
sit down, have a good laugh. And then we have a nice and we Caribbean people, we love to party. So it's a show and always a dance. After the comedy show, we always have an after party and
Okay.
everybody mingle. That's, because when you come in the show, you go to your seat, you sit. And then you realize when you party, oh my gosh, you were here, I didn't see you, blah, blah, blah. And everybody mingles. It's always a great night out.
It sounds like it's great. Yeah, sounds like it's good fun and nice to connect with people and culture and so on. So what plans do you have for the future of Marcus B Entertainment?
To keep entertaining. I think it's in my blood. Somebody I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Like I said, during COVID, it was a good break, not to be, and not to be doing so much, but I missed it very much. So right now we kind of gearing back up, so we're gonna keep doing the comedy shows. Like we do little parties. I do a boat ride, couple of boat rides every year. They're
Yeah,
totally
that was
sold out.
something. Yeah, that was something we didn't talk about. The boat ride.
The boat rides are amazing. I mean, you can't get a ticket for the boat ride. The minute the flyer goes out, people just buy the tickets up. Just it's like 3 levels of partying. We have a live band on one level, then we have DJs on another level, and then the 3rd level, people just be hanging out. But it's just amazing.
So where's the boat rides? The boat rides to where? From where to where?
So it's in Long Beach, the city of Long Beach. So basically we cruise around the Long Beach harbor, for a few hours and that's it. But you know what? That actually reminds me of something that we actually did do. I totally forgot about when it comes to boat ride. We actually did for many years Caribbean cruises. So we will have contract out, several hundred with Royal Caribbean. And we will just invite people from all over, and people will meet up if they're leaving from, sometimes we left from Florida or we leave from Puerto Rico. And we'll do like a 7-night Caribbean cruise. And those are very, very successful,
And then you would have entertainment, like Caribbean entertainment on board and so, or?
Right. Well, yeah. But the cruise ship provide all the entertainment. So whatever is in their agenda, we just go with it. Yeah, we go with it.
But just to bring together your Caribbean people to
right to do something different. Do something, like I said, that's what always kept me going. Something different. So then back to what I think. Right now, I foresee just in the future, we're gonna keep doing the comedy and some of the, I don't do as much as I used to. I love to travel, and I can't wait to, to get back to traveling. Again, COVID slowed that down. So once things are open up, I'm ready to go. I want to go back to Africa so bad. I've been to South Africa a few years ago, and it's one of the most beautiful places. I love South Africa. I think I could even live there if I have to. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to going there, and I want to go several parts of West Africa, of course.
Other countries.
So,
all right. And then, maybe you could get some connection with your entertainment. You might be able to make some connection with some artists there.
Yes, so, of course. I do have some connection with those guys, actually. I have some very, very, one of my best, dearest friend, if I have to say I had one, because I have a million best, dearest friend. It's Liber Hong is his name, and he goes by the name of Liber M. So he's the one that actually produces the music for The Lion King, the movie The Lion King. We actually grew up out here in LA together. We went to the same college.
Where is he from?
It's South Africa.
Oh, yeah,
from South Africa. So he's back in South Africa now. He's on getting ready to go back on tour if things open up. But he's been traveling, performing, and so it's.
All right. So even though you say, you're slowing down, in a way, you still, the Marcus B Entertainment is still moving forward.
I know, it's in the blood. Every time I try to move away, they pull me back in, Marcus, you got to do this. Every idea come up in the Caribbean community. Marcus, have you ever thought about doing this? Have you ever thought about this? We do bus trips around the Cape to Mexico. I forgot about the bus rides. we do annual bus rides to Mexico and to Las Vegas, and yeah, those are a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right. So Marcus B, tell us about how we can contact you. And because, we know people from all over watch our culture to the world.
Okay.
And they might want to, okay, let's try to get Marcus to do something here, bring an entertaining here comedy show. So tell us.
I will love that. That would be so great, man. Anywhere in the world, wherever you guys at, whether you're in Europe or Africa or Asia or anywhere you at, man, we will come and entertain you. I love to bring the brand down there. It's a lot of fun. I'm a nice, easygoing guy. You could see, right? Nice and easy. So, but you can reach me on Instagram, man, at Marcus B. And it's just like a song, MARCUSBGT, Georgetown. I put in my Georgetown.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a caption with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my Instagram. And on Facebook, Marcus Branche. MARCUS, and Branch with an E.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Branch with an E in the end. That's my Facebook. And even contact phone number 310-922-4005. Yeah.
Great.
That's my business line. So yeah, hit me up anytime, Sure. I love to chit chat with people and meet new people.
Right.
And
yes, and I love I didn't say anything when we got started, but you're in the Caribbean right now. Look the background. Yes, wow. Yes. We're ready to party. Ready to just relax on that beach, listen to some good soca music.
Yes, Caribbean to the world. Caribbean to the world. I long for Caribbean unity. I love it, man. We have an amazing history, amazing culture. People love it, and what our foundation. Whether you left home when you were 2 or 5 or 10 or 20 or whatever you left home, that what was ingrained in you lives with you. That's what makes you who you are today.
Yes.
So I pay a lot of respects, even though I left home as a youngster. I've been in America for 40 something years, man. That few years back home is what made me who I am today. Yes.
So Marcus, thank you so much. Really enjoyed talking with you. I love to hear your journey from a kid, a young child, DJing in your mom's basement in Brooklyn. Now you're producing entertainment, Caribbean entertainment, and taking our culture to the world, the Caribbean culture, sharing it with others. So thank you so much for what you do. And I really enjoyed talking with you. And I know our viewers enjoyed listening. And hit Marcus up if you want some good Caribbean entertainment. Okay. He'll come to your city wherever you are. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And you guys are welcome to California. Anytime you come into Cali, hit me up. Say, Marcus, hey, I saw your show with Melville. And hey, I'm coming to Cali. Would love to, hang out with you. Just hit me up, man. I would love to, Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. And I'm going to say thank you again, Marcus, and thank you to the viewers for watching. We're going to see you soon as we meet new people and share their experiences on our next episode of Our Culture to the World. Bye, Marcus.
Bye.